Hi, my name is Heather Vignali, and I'm a stress and self-acceptance therapist. I wanted to put out a little video this week about boundaries, what they are, why they're good. Everybody needs them, and I want to just give you a little information, help you understand them a little bit better. So no one can really dispute that helping other people is actually a really great quality, right? So like all in all, not so bad. But people pleasers, for example, have that quality kind of living inside them all the time. Um, and it's not the greatest, right? It doesn't seem so bad, but it's actually not the greatest because we want to be sensitive to the needs of others, but we don't want to do it at the expense of our own needs, right? So when we start to kind of cater to the needs of every person around us, like their every whim, that's when we start kind of getting ourselves into hot water. People who find themselves in that kind of a situation are definitely people who need boundaries. So let's get into the nitty gritty of what boundaries are. So imagine a plot of land, right? You buy this plot of land, um, and you're told that it extends from point A to point B. The owner previous to you didn't have a fence, and so it's really kind of hard to tell just by looking at it where the boundaries are. And it becomes your responsibility to make sure that you let other people know where your property ends and where the rest of the world begins, right? So you set up a gated fence around the property, and it boundaries off the space that belongs to you, that's yours, right? And the gate might even have like a code or a key, or a buzzer, whatever, you know what I mean. That could kind of keep the gate secure. This way, strangers can tell where your property is, right? And they can't just walk in. And for those people who maybe you don't know very well, even maybe they don't have the code, but you let them in, you buzz them in, you key code them in, whatever, right? Unlock it for them, let them in. But when you invite a really good friend over, she has the key, she has the code, she knows, how to get in. She just walks in, right? Somebody that you're really close with, that you're comfortable with, that you can trust, right? So she just walks in, right? So you see, what the fence does is it protects the property, right? And without it, no one else can really tell where your property begins. So your property might actually be used for things that other people want to use it for, like they might walk through it, they might walk through your yard to go to the yard behind you. Or maybe they set up chairs and they start relaxing on your front lawn, or maybe they park their car on your lawn. I know it sounds rude, but imagine now that the property is you and that the fence is your personal boundary, right? Do you see my point? So boundaries are good, right? Boundaries are helpful and healthy. They can help you recognize that you do have limits, right? Everybody has limits. And respecting that you have boundaries, respecting that you have limits in the first place is very important, right? So they can help you to kind of stay mindful and accountable to your own needs. And knowing where they are can help you also communicate them to others. They also, with that in mind, help others to know where your limits are. And this is helpful because people will start to kind of gradually notice the changes in you as you start to establish boundaries with them. And when you don't respond yes immediately to every volunteer opportunity, it sort of sends a message out to others that you might not always be available, right? And the hope is that they start to realize and accept the limit and start to respect them too, right? So boundaries protect you. And if you need to keep a distance from certain people or certain things, we can kind of lean into those boundaries and make sure we stay safe. They keep you from feelings of bitterness, resentment, or even being mistreated by people. And they can also set you up in your relationships, new relationships that you need to first build trust in, right? So you see, boundaries are good, right? Some other tips about boundaries. Often, people who tend to put others first don't necessarily realize that they need boundaries. And if this is you, start by acknowledging that everyone needs boundaries. They need them and they deserve them. Another tip is boundaries should exist in all relationships across the board. Yeah, that's right. All relationships, marriages, right? Relationships with your children, relationships with family members, friends, they should be there, right? And also, not all boundaries are created equal. Think about the example that I gave with the gate, right? Strangers have a different kind of a boundary than your very best friend, right? So sometimes your boundaries are going to be flexible, sometimes your boundaries are going to be firm. The more and more comfortable you get with establishing and maintaining boundaries, the more you start to recognize which ones are necessary and when. Another tip is just that establishing boundaries can be really uncomfortable, not only for you, but for people around you. Remember that they're not used to them. You're not used to them. This is all new, right? So it can feel a little bit funny, but it's important to keep it up, right? And not resort back to your MO. Tell yourself if they were important enough to establish, then they're important enough to keep, right? And finally, saying no is hard sometimes. Try practicing with the telemarketers that give you a call, right? I know that that's a lot easier, but that's because you don't have a personal connection with them. It's a good place to start, though. Now, if you need help establishing boundaries, reach out to me today. I can't wait to see the transformation in you once you start realizing your value, setting yourself up with reasonable, healthy boundaries. I'm telling you, you won't regret it. All right, so don't forget to like and subscribe this video and click the link in the description to contact me for a consultation. All right, have a great day. Bye.